Formula One is a sport for the rich. If you don't have money, you almost don't make it. But Kimi Räikkönen, he was a different lad. He had no privilege, no fancy sponsors, just pure raw speed. From a childhood where even an indoor bathroom was a luxury, to conquering the highest level of motorsport, this is the story of how a broke Finnish kid became an F1 legend. To understand how Kimi became a world champion despite coming from a family with barely enough to get by, we have to go back to 1987. Growing up in Espoo, Finland, with his older brother Rami, Kimi had a simple yet happy childhood. But life was never easy for the Räikkönens. His parents, Matti and Paula, worked tirelessly. His father as a road builder, his mother as an office clerk. Matti often juggled 2 or 3 jobs at a time, working as a taxi driver and nightclub bouncer just to keep food on the table. The family couldn't afford luxuries. They didn't even have an indoor bathroom, postponing its installation to fund their son's karting dreams. Despite the hardships, they were a close-knit, joyful family. At just 8 years old, Kimi climbed into a go-kart and never looked back. By 14, he was already making waves in the Finnish Cup, finishing second overall. His first international race in 1995 was unforgettable. In one event, his steering wheel snapped mid-race, yet he kept going, waving it in the air to alert his mechanic. In another, a crash sent him flying off track. Most would have quit there, but Kimi, he dragged his kart back onto the track and charged through the field to finish third. It was raw, unrelenting determination, an early glimpse of the Iceman. By 1997, he had built a reputation. Winning multiple karting championships, he moved to the Netherlands at 18 to chase bigger opportunities. In 1998, he dominated, winning the Finnish, Nordic, and European karting championships, finishing second in Super A and proving himself against the world's best. 1999 marked his transition to single-seaters, but an uncompetitive car forced him back to karting. Still, he crushed the competition, winning 13 of 17 races. But Kimi wasn't done with cars. That winter, he entered the Formula Renault UK Winter Series. The cold at Donington Park was no match for the Finnish ice in his veins. He won all 4 races, showcasing his natural ability. In 2000, he took on the British Formula Renault Championship with Manor Motorsport. He dominated. He didn't just win, he annihilated the field, taking 7 victories and wrapping up the title with 2 races to spare. He had competed in just 23 car races, but already whispers of his talent reached Formula One. The Robertsons, his managers, pitched him to Peter Sauber. At the 2000 Hungarian Grand Prix, they made their case. Kimi had won 80% of his races, numbers unheard of. Sauber agreed to a 3-day test at Mugello. That test was no ordinary trial. Ferrari and McLaren were there fine-tuning their machines. Sauber, meanwhile, was there to evaluate a 20-year-old kid with barely any experience. To keep his identity secret, he was nicknamed the Eskimo. Sauber's full-time driver Pedro Diniz completed 78 laps. Kimi, just 29, yet he was already half a second quicker. After only 6 laps, he was faster than Sauber had predicted. When he requested a new front wing to fix understeer, his cornering speed instantly jumped by 20 km/h. He drove the car faster than anyone ever had. Between runs, he silently studied Michael Schumacher's lines. Schumacher, noticing the young Finn, asked, "Who is this new driver?" When told his name, the 7-time champion smirked and said, "He will be fast, very, very fast." The tests went smoothly. Kimi never damaged the car, spun in the gravel, or did anything to make the team doubt him. The decision was easy. Peter Sauber called everyone in the motorhome and said, "We signed the Eskimo." While his Formula One debut would come in 2001, Kimi underwent multiple Formula One tests to prepare. In addition, he served his mandatory 12 months in the military, which helped him get into better physical shape for a full season. But before his debut could become a reality, Peter Sauber faced another challenge. Räikkönen had only competed in 23 car races and didn't have a super license. Due to his limited experience, FIA President Max Mosley voiced concerns. After a persuasive performance by Peter Sauber, Kimi was granted a provisional super license and allowed to make his debut. All eyes were on him and the other rookie, Fernando Alonso. The first race of the season was in Australia, and Kimi proved he was ready for Formula One. Starting P17 in qualifying, scoring points seemed unlikely, but a strong race on Sunday saw him finish P6. He was still asleep 30 minutes before the race started. The season was filled with retirements, but Kimi's consistency and impressive performances silenced many critics and caught the attention of top teams like McLaren and Ferrari. McLaren was torn between signing Räikkönen or his teammate Nick Heidfeld. Ultimately, Kimi's fellow countryman, Mika Häkkinen, decided to retire at the end of 2001, and his legendary words convinced McLaren, "If you want to win, get the Finn." With McLaren believing in their new signing, it was Kimi's turn to prove he could handle a top team and winning machinery in 2002. And he did just that. With a third-place finish, the fastest lap, and a podium in the opening round, he made an immediate impact. But the season wasn't what Kimi had hoped for. He showed his skills, but McLaren struggled with the reliability of the Mercedes engines. Out of 17 Grand Prix races, he finished only 6, but secured 4 podiums. He nearly won the French Grand Prix, but a spin over oil cost him victory. Had McLaren provided a more reliable car, who knows what could have happened. In 2003, only his third season in Formula One, Kimi became a title contender. McLaren had a better car, and he was able to challenge the dominant Michael Schumacher. With his first win in Malaysia, 10 podiums, and only 3 retirements, Räikkönen missed out on his first championship by just 2 points. It was during this season that the iconic nickname, the Iceman, was born. He cared about nothing but driving fast and winning. The 2004 season, however, was a disappointment. Reliability issues plagued the Finn. A mid-season update allowed him to win 1 race at Spa-Francorchamps and finish the season with 3 podiums in the last 4 races. Then 2005 arrived, and McLaren finally gave Räikkönen a car capable of winning again. It was a strong season with 7 race wins, multiple pole positions, and the legendary Japanese Grand Prix victory, where he came from 17th to 1st, a race every fan remembers. However, reliability issues and the Michelin tire drama hindered his championship bid, and he finished 2nd in the standings. The 2006 season was another disappointment. Multiple retirements due to reliability problems, though still managing podium finishes, led to a 5th place finish in the championship. By now, people had learned that Kimi wasn't a man of many words. He mumbled through interviews, hid under his baseball cap, and ran for the nearest exit. However, his private life was quite different. News articles surfaced about his partying habits, and of course, there was the famous 2006 Monaco interview.
Kimi, you missed the presentation by Pele.
Yeah.
Will you get over it?
Yeah, I was having a shit.
But 2006 isn't remembered for that. The man who had told Sauber that Kimi would be fast, very, very fast, was retiring. His replacement, Kimi Räikkönen. Kimi arrived at Ferrari with big shoes to fill. The void left by Michael Schumacher needed to be filled, and his arrival wasn't without controversy. Ferrari banned their new recruit from attempting dangerous sports. However, Kimi still competed in a snowmobile race under the alias of James Hunt. The Iceman won the race. He also won the season opener from pole position, but it was his former team, McLaren, that posed the biggest challenge. A thrilling season followed with strong drivers, race wins, and pole positions. Despite this, Kimi was third in the driver's standings, and his title hopes seemed like a long shot. Meanwhile, he won a powerboat race dressed in a gorilla suit, again under the name James Hunt. Every time I think back on this, I wonder how he even remained in the championship fight. With the final race in Brazil, Kimi still had a chance to win. And he did. His nearest contender, Lewis Hamilton, suffered gearbox issues and couldn't gain enough positions to win the championship. Räikkönen secured the title by just 1 point. It was his first year with Ferrari, their first year without Michael Schumacher. I'm very happy. I came from pretty much nothing, but my family, friends, and sponsors helped me get here. People will probably look at me differently and make up more stories about me, but I am going to lead my life as I want, and that's it. The following 2 seasons with Ferrari, Kimi's results declined. He was in contention for the 2008 title, but the car's performance dropped and mistakes crept in. He should have won the title in 2008 if you ask me. The following year, Ferrari had a poor car. With only a win at Spa and an overall disappointing season, it was time to say farewell to Formula One. His interest in sport had faded, and Ferrari bought out his contract to sign Fernando Alonso. While Kimi spent 2 years in rallying without much success, he started to miss winning, something he was used to with his talent. What followed was a very successful return to Formula One. The Iceman joined Lotus, and let's just say his speed was still there. With multiple podium finishes, strong recoveries from the back of the grid, and a win in Abu Dhabi alongside the legendary radio message.
Just leave me alone, I know what to do.
He proved that Kimi Räikkönen was still a driver to fear. Finishing third in the driver's standings confirmed that. But there was a dark side to the success. Lotus had signed a performance-based contract with Kimi. Not expecting him to perform so well, they agreed to pay him €50,000 for every point scored. When the 2013 season was less successful than 2012, he still achieved multiple podiums and remained consistent. He ended up scoring 390 points, meaning Lotus owed him €19.5 million in bonuses. Then, rumors surfaced that Lotus hadn't paid Kimi since the end of 2012. Friction within the team grew. The Iceman initially refused to show up for the Belgian Grand Prix, but eventually did. However, his season was cut short due to surgery on an old back injury. Kimi never received the full amount he was promised. He took home only 60% so that everyone could keep their jobs. What a guy. Kimi wasn't finished with Formula One. He returned to Ferrari after leaving Lotus due to financial issues. It was a dream lineup for many, Fernando Alonso and Kimi Räikkönen. But it wasn't the return Kimi had hoped for. He struggled with the car and the new braking system. Leaping to 2015, Ferrari was improving, but Kimi struggled against teammate Sebastian Vettel. Still, he finished fourth in the standings. By 2016 and 2017, his results were steady, but he had become more of a fan favorite for his blunt, no-nonsense attitude than his racing performances. Then came 2018, a resurgence. Kimi was sharp, consistent, and fast. Then at the United States Grand Prix, after 113 races without a win, the Iceman delivered. He held off Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton to take victory, sending fans into a frenzy. For sure, it's nice to win again, he said in a typical deadpan fashion. But Ferrari had already decided his fate. Charles Leclerc would replace him in 2019. His Ferrari chapter closed, but his journey wasn't over. He returned to Sauber, now Alfa Romeo. His first season showed promise, scoring points and finishing fourth in Brazil. But as Alfa Romeo's performance declined, so did his results. Then, in 2021, Kimi Räikkönen announced his retirement, and with that, the Iceman walked away on his own terms. But legends don't fade. They settle into the corners of history, waiting to be retold. From the cold streets of Espoo to the red-hot throne of Ferrari, Kimi Räikkönen never chased the spotlight. It followed him, whether he wanted it or not. He spoke little, but drove like a poet, carving his legend with every flick of the wheel, every drift through the mist of Eau Rouge, every silent glare beneath his helmet. He was never meant to be here, not by the standards of pedigree or privilege. He had no sponsors lining up, no grand connections, just a quiet fire and an indifference to anything that wasn't speed. And yet, he stood at the top of the world, a Ferrari champion, a symbol of racing in its purest form. No politics, no pretense, just Kimi, the Iceman, the once poor dude who became a legend.
Congratulations on the podium. How close were you off from being able to catch Max Verstappen, if at all? And when you made your Formula One debut, he was only 3 years old. That probably doesn't sound too good.